Today we're talking about hair loss, the kind where the drain clogs faster than it used to, and your scalp's peeking through more than ever. You may have gotten some labs that are normal, and then you're told it's probably just stress. Here's the truth. Just because your labs are normal doesn't mean that everything is okay. It just means the right problem hasn't been found yet. I'm Dr. Mitch Rice, family medicine physician with an emphasis of getting to the root cause of symptoms. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you the 4-step checklist that I use with patients who've been told there's nothing wrong, yet they're still losing hair. Hair loss isn't random. It follows a pattern. And once you figure out that pattern, you can trace it back to the root cause. Just like a leaky pipe may have leaks in different areas of the actual pipe, the location, quality, and timing of the hair loss can lead you back to the source. In my clinic, I find that 95% of the time, hair loss falls into the following 5 different categories. Let's break each of them down now. So the first one is when you notice clumps of hair falling out into your shower all at one time. The hair loss is typically diffuse, meaning it happens on all areas of your head, not just in one specific spot. And you'll literally find your hair all over, like in your brush, on your pillow, and clogging your drain frequently. This has a medical name and it's called telogen effluvium. And no, I did not just make that up. And it does sound cool with an accent. Telogen effluvium. Some common triggers of telogen effluvium are major stressful events, postpartum hormone shifts, major illnesses or surgery, and crash dieting or severe caloric restriction. The good news about telogen effluvium is that it's part of the natural hair cycle that we each have. Our hair cycle has a built-in delay, and so telogen effluvium is essentially bypassing one certain checkpoint of that cycle. The great news about this is that hair typically returns to full thickness within about 3 to 4 months. If your hair loss started suddenly and diffusely, think back to what may have happened 2 to 3 months ago as for a common stressor, or maybe your diet was a little out of sync. That'll typically lead you to the culprit. So the second most common cause of hair loss is the classic female pattern thinning and male pattern baldness. In medical land, we call this androgenic hair loss. This is typically seen with widening of the hair part, a loss of hair at the crown of the head, and sometimes your ponytail may even feel a little bit thinner. It's often genetic, but not inevitable. Hormone imbalances can definitely accelerate this. Think of conditions like PCOS, insulin resistance, high levels of DHEA or testosterone, and overall estrogen dominance. This particular kind of hair loss, in order to attack the root cause, it requires a deeper look into blood work and consistent lifestyle changes. The third common cause of hair loss, and this usually happens in patches or specific areas on the head, and this is called alopecia areata. This is an autoimmune condition when your own body's immune system attacks the little hair follicles. It can come and go, and it's often linked to other autoimmune conditions such as Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and can even be seen during high emotional stressful situations. To get to the solve of this one, it requires a little bit of a different workup, and sometimes even a collaboration with a dermatologist or a rheumatologist. Now the fourth one is super common and one that frequently gets overlooked all the time. This is where your hair feels dry, brittle, and breaks easily, or has changed in texture over the last few months. This is typically related to nutritional problems and or thyroid dysfunction. We definitely want to be checking things like iron profile and ferritin levels, vitamin B12 and folate, and of course checking your thyroid with a TSH, T3, and T4. This happens because when your body is low on those building blocks overall, one of the first things to go is your hair. It's also really crucial to know that in nutritional deficiencies, normal labs doesn't mean optimal. You may have to go towards the higher range of of normal for your own specific body in order to actually see the results that changes the overall texture and thickness of your hair. And the fifth one is also super common and tends to really fly under the radar. This has to do with scalp inflammation, where your scalp is consistently itchy and flaky. Our scalp basically has its own ecosystem. When that's inflamed from yeast, fungus, or immune irritation, follicles get choked out at their roots. The fix isn't just cosmetic, it's actually what we call both diagnostic and therapeutic. Meaning that if treating the inflammation helps, then you've found the diagnosis. So you're actually killing two birds with one stone. The critical thing about hair loss is that in order to actually find patterns, you have to meticulously track your symptoms. And this can be really difficult, right? How do I track the symptoms? How do I know what to actually look for, what things are important? Well, the best way that I found to do this that keeps things in a nice sequential pattern, and it's something that your doctor can really understand, is using my smart symptom spreadsheet that actually allows you to track your symptoms like a doctor. I use this myself for my own chronic health conditions, and you can grab a copy for free in the link below. So moving on to the blood work that I check every single time for patients who come in with hair loss. The first thing that I check is ferritin and iron studies. And this is important because if you have low iron stores, this can lead to shedding and thinner hair. And I'm really looking for that ferritin level above 70. Next, of course, we always check the thyroid with a TSH and free T3 and T4. I do check vitamin D levels as well because this can cause hormonal and some immune system issues if deficient. And the optimal range of this is 40 to 80. I check B12 and folate to make sure those nutritional deficiencies aren't actually there because these are also needed for cell turnover and hair growth. And I look for having vitamin B12 levels at least 500. And then I also check some hormones, which are very important as well. And then I check an ANA panel, which essentially screens individuals for autoimmune diseases. So far we've covered the 5 most common causes of hair loss that cover 95% of all the hair loss that I see in clinic. We talked about sudden shedding or telogen effluvium, which is usually triggered by stress or hormonal shifts. Gradual thinning, also known as androgenic hair loss, and this is linked to hormones and genetics. Patchy hair loss, also known as alopecia areata. This is an autoimmune pattern. Hair breakage or texture changes that is typically linked to either thyroid issues or nutritional deficiencies, and scalp inflammation that can present itself with itching and flakiness. And we've also covered some labs that actually matter that are really important to check in order to either rule in or rule out specific diagnoses. So step 3 is really the secret sauce of the video. These are lifestyle tweaks that I would start making today that can actually make your hair grow back thicker no matter what the cause is. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, I want you to think hair equals protein. No matter how many serums that you apply directly to your hair, if you're not eating enough keratin building blocks in the form of adequate protein intake, your body won't prioritize growing back your hair. I tell my patients to make sure you eat protein at least within 1 hour of being awake, unless you're doing some sort of fasting diet, and try to get a minimum of 90 to 100 grams of protein per day. Also, collagen and vitamin C intake will help augment or increase this process. The second biggest thing that I would do is stabilize my blood sugars. In the morning, it's really important to consume your protein first before you eat a lot of carbohydrates during the day, and to reduce your sugar basically down to nothing. Trying to limit those extra sugary drinks will make a huge difference in not only your health overall, but will allow you to increase that protein intake, hopefully helping you grow back hair. Also, a really underrated tip is to walk for about 10 to 15 minutes after you eat your meals. This not only helps digestion, but it really helps your body regulate those blood sugar levels and keep them relatively stable without the huge spikes and valleys. The third thing that I would do is to soothe the inflammation in your scalp. And you can think of this like cleaning out the weeds in a garden bed. I would try some tea tree oil or some rosemary extract daily into your hair. And I would also get some ketoconazole shampoo and use this in your hair 2 to 3 times a week. In order to de release stress, I would nourish my nervous system. You can think of this little equation. Chronic stress equals cortisol dysregulation equals hair loss. So chronic stress, you will lose hair because your hormones are all out of whack. Some things that I like to do are taking walks in nature. I like to journal things and write things down to help get the thoughts out of your head onto paper. This helps reduce stress significantly, and definitely try moving your body, taking those walks, or getting to the gym. It really doesn't take a lot, guys. It's just moving your body in some way every single day can really do wonders. And the last thing I would try are targeted supplements. Now, these won't get to and fix the root cause, but they can help increase that hair growth while you're waiting for all the data to come back. The number one supplement that I recommend to my patients is Viviscal Pro. They have the best data and, in my opinion, the best efficacy for hair growth via natural supplements. Also, I do highly recommend a daily multivitamin. If you don't eat a very well balanced diet, you may be missing out on key nutrients. So I definitely recommend getting a general multivitamin. If you made it this far in the video and you just kind of want all the information in 1 or 2 pages of a PDF, you can grab my health hair blueprint down below. It's completely free. Sometimes we need a little bit of extra support when supplements and natural lifestyle changes just aren't quite enough to get us the results that we want. And this is where I talk about prescription medications, which honestly can make a huge difference. Now, I don't have time to go into super detail about all of these medicines, and you can probably Google and look up some of that stuff anyway, but the ones that are really important and actually move the needle in terms of hair loss are topical minoxidil. So medicine's called minoxidil, you put in your hair twice a day. It really does wonders, and the good news is that this can be used in both men and women. For women who struggle with PCOS or insulin resistance in general, spironolactone can be very effective in promoting and increasing that hair growth. For men, finasteride, either topically or orally, can be a very good option to reduce the androgenic hair loss or the gradual thinning that has to do with hormones. And if you're thinking that you fall into the category of alopecia areata, the autoimmune issue, then you can have steroid injections into the scalp, and this may help as well. Again, guys, super important. Even if you try prescription medications, you gotta give it at least 3 to 6 months, if not a little bit longer, to see if these medicines are actually working for you. So I do want to dive into some red flags that would make me want to escalate my care and maybe get a closer look. Most hair loss is benign and reversible, but sometimes it's a sign of something more serious happening under the surface. And these are some of the red flags that would make me want to escalate my care and get to the root cause of my hair loss a little bit sooner. So if you have rapid onset of hair loss with burning or significant pain in your scalp, or both eyebrow and eyelash thinning, or hair loss that occurs on not just your scalp, but also your arms and your legs, these are all things that would make me want to get a closer look and get into your family doc as soon as possible. All right, guys, so we've covered a lot of information in this video, so I want to do a quick summary and hit the highlights. We broke down the 5 most common patterns to hair loss, starting with number 1, telogen effluvium, which is triggered by illness or severe stress. When hair falls out in clumps, typically triggered by stress or illness. Gradual thinning or androgenic hair loss, this is likely tied to genetics. Patchy hair loss or alopecia areata with the autoimmune conditions. Hair breakage or texture changes, likely linked to nutritional deficiencies. And scalp inflammation. And while you're waiting on these labs to get back, we talked about 3 key categories of things that you can do starting today. That is, hit that protein goal of at least 90 to 100 grams per day, tame those blood pressure swings by going on walks and eating your protein first, and soothe the overall inflammation by getting some ketoconazole shampoo and by lowering your overall stress levels. We also talked about some supplements, including the Viviscal Pro, as well as some prescription medications such as Rogaine or minoxidil, finasteride, spironolactone, and scalp steroid injections. If you're at the end of this video and you still don't know which of those 5 major categories that you're falling into, really try to hone in and track those symptoms. And again, the best way to do that is by grabbing my Smart Symptom spreadsheet. And again, that's linked for free down below. If this breakdown helped you feel more in control of your health and you want to take it to the next level by journeying alongside people who may be struggling with the exact same things that you are, I've created a free community called Vitals and Voices, and I'll link that down below as well. Finally, the very hairs on your head are all numbered. This comes from the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 7. Even when it feels like you're losing something important, you're still fully seen. Your health is your superpower. Let's reclaim it.